trying to escape from the curses I was born to break. Finding a way to overcome my fears. I am strong enough. There might be some bumpy roads ahead, but I'm equipped. I've learned some great lessons. The power lies in me. Now I see so clearly. All my steps are destined. I'm going in the right direction. Gotta keep believing in myself. Gotta keep going, don't give up. Yes, I'm gonna see this through. Yeah, I put my trust in you. The only way out is to go within. Now I see you're my best friend. Yes, I finally found my peace. I know that I can trust in me. It's a blessing that I've come this far. 'Cause when you feel alone, I know it can get hard. But I'm choosing gratitude, grace, love, and peace. You're always with me. All my steps are destined. I'm going in the right direction. Gotta keep believing in myself. Gotta keep going, don't give up. Yes, I'm gonna see this through. Yeah, I put my trust in you. The only way out is to go within. Now I see you're my best friend. Yes, I finally found my peace. I know that I can trust in me. I am connected to a love that never runs out. I am connected to a source that never runs out. I am connected to a love that never runs out. I am connected to a source that never runs out. I am connected to a love that never runs out. I am connected to a source that never runs out. I am connected to a love that never runs out. I am connected. I gotta keep believing in myself. Gotta keep going, don't give up. Yes, I'm gonna see this through. Yeah, I put my trust in you. The only way out is to go within. Now I see you're my best friend. Yes, I finally found my peace. I know that I can trust in me. Believing in myself. Gotta keep going, don't give up. Yes, I'm gonna see this through. Yeah, I put my trust in you. The only way out is to go within. Now I see you're my best friend. Yes, I finally found my peace. I know that I can trust in me.
Good evening. Good evening. Hopefully, you guys can hear me well. It's good to have you this evening. Make sure I get this music stopped. How's everyone doing? Give some shout outs here. It's awesome to have you with me, Miss Dorothy. Great to have you. Happy New Year, Mr. Ruben. Yes, 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 indeed. Holly, we have you. We have you. Yeah, I know that in this new season, in this new year, that things will change and people will change and people will get used to certain things. And as we move forward and we think about life and as life transitions on us, we will see transitions. And so I'm so glad to have everyone that's here at this moment. Make sure I have everything's dialed in. Miss Doris, how's everyone? Most definitely. Hugh, all right. If you guys have one of the things, uh cool. I'm glad. Thank you for that with the sound. I'm so sometimes you just don't really know what's going on. But I appreciate you for tapping in and tuning in to what we still yet want to maintain, yet we still want to grow with and go with. Because as we deal with life and we deal with transitions, um, the last text Bishop sent me was his CD or record, Everything Must Change. It was the CD's titled After the Rain. It's available on Apple Music. I'm looking to make it available so that we all can have After the Rain, because it's a really good record. It's something that really meant a lot to Bishop, one of his last albums that he actually put out, and it has some of his thoughts and his meditations that he actually put within it, and it's really, really a good work. But we so appreciate everyone that is tapped in and tuned in. H- How'd you guys have your holidays, your Christmas? Hopefully your Christmas was wonderful, and your New Year's. We're now on January the 2nd, and I'm sure that everyone that's tapped in and tuned in right now are looking forward to this year. I know it's been not that long since we've dealt with Bishop transitioning. And as we get used to or connected to what is next for this iteration, as he would say, for what we have going on, we do our best, right? If you're out there, you tapped in and listen to me, it's okay to do your best. And I have something that hopefully will help you set this year off right. We have resolutions, and some people like them, some people deny them. But systems is how human beings work. We develop these systems, honestly. The weather would come and the weather would go, depending on what location you are in the world. And we develop these systems to make it better for us. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Farmer's Almanac. And what the Farmer's Almanac really did for us, because we operate in systems. We adapted and adopted a calendar, and these things become real to us. People don't understand that Christmas, the 25th of December, was not actually Jesus's birthday. I hate to share that to you. I mean, it's no different than, um, Santa Claus not being, a guy that comes down the chimney and delivering presents. Um, uh, it brings up the fact that my wife, she likes these, collects Santas, black Santas, because it's a unique, there's a saying that talks about a black Santa coming down a chimney. Not to go there, but it's really interesting just when you see the things that are established and we are programmed to have in our lives and to believe and run these programs. We run these programs, and we could run these programs all of our lives unless we have some kind of something that happens that changes or switches, or something that causes us to reflect, or causes us to think differently. If we're willing to accept it, if we're willing to go through that um, experience, the elasticity of the brain, we have the ability to do it. But I was talking to my father today, and he's a pastor, And it was interesting because as he dialogues about different things in the scriptures, and I see so many people talking about the word and the Bible, and if it follows the word and all these different things. But it's so interesting because so many people, like, it's like they stop there, but they don't do history, they don't do science, they don't do philosophy, right? They don't even study world religion. um they stop at just what their experience is. So therefore it can be limiting or limit your own personal experience when it comes to this life. I wanted to do something a little different for you today, so that not only do you get to know a little bit more about me, but to set off this year so that we can have an understanding where we could go, where we may go, where I believe we possibly should explore. And Bishop Pearson left in transition, and he told me, he said, um, you know, I'm done here. My kids are going to figure out and do what they do. And either we shut that down or you go on and carry it your way. And so what I'm doing is I'm not just carrying it on my way, but I'm carrying it on for us as a community, acting more as a facilitator and being in my space, being in my lane, right? There's so many ministries and so many people that do ministries. That's why I like to call this the community of communities. Just different people. You are on here. Everyone that's actually listening to me right now, tapping in and tuning in, you guys have something going for you. Believe me, you wouldn't be here. I believe there's a select group of people that's going to not only just participate by coming here to visit and listen, but I believe some of you are going to carry it on, because my goal is to share the platform. My goal is to actually have people a part of this platform and to all of us, expose all of us to various experiences that we all are having in this life. And one thing that I will do today is share with you a little about what I do, but ultimately kind of setting the tone, because next week I have um, brother Mike Williams, who is going to bring something to us, because he is also a what I would call one of the spiritual sons of Bishop. There's a lot of different spiritual sons and people that have followed his ministry, that are in ministry, and he's going to come. And then after that, I have D.E. Polk, who's going to be with us, which is going to be a wonderful and beautiful time. I I have uh, when Bishop was in the movie, they have it portrayed as a man that um, was a part of the African American bishops, and whenever he went to the trial, um, we had he there was a bishop that was one of the leaders over the other bishops, and he was the one that was bringing the questions in the movie. I'm working on it, but I have his son on board because he has a unique perspective and experiences. Bishop Ellis and his son Bill, he's going to be coming on. So I have some really beautiful things planned out. You guys have to stick with us and stick with me so that we can really do what we are called to do. And I know there's some of you in this room and in this space, and you guys are going to not only help carry this out, but we're going to do some things, and we're actually going to grow, because there's so many more people leaving the church than you can imagine. Then um, there are places for these people to go, whether it would be someone learning and deconstructing. If they beyond the deconstruction process and they're ready to go into a deeper self actualization, then that's what will be available. So I'm going to transition, and I want you to take a moment here and let's just listen to Bishop Pearson talk about himself. He's going to talk a little bit in this talk about his experience whenever he was 65. I'm learning that 65 was kind of a golden year in a way. 2018. That's when he was 65 years old and the movie was released. His story hit a peak. Bishop's story hit a peak. And he didn't talk about this a whole lot, but he did talk about it. And that's self-actualization. He did talk about some of the things in terms of as we go through what we experience and the things that we believe, how do we question those things that we believe? But what I want to do is I want to bridge and I want to move us into understanding on how to implement these things into our lives. How are you going to implement this into your life in 2024? And it's always good and pleasant to hear his voice. And let's just explore for about 5 minutes, and we're going to hear some things he has to say. And I really love the tone. He's at Agape doing this, and I love where he's going, but he's going to give some of the experiences. But there's something that I want you to pick up out of this and what he was doing in his own self actualization, in his own process to become who he ends up, who he became, and who he was during his transition. Because he started as something and went through a whole life and ended as something completely different. Here we go.
I'm a urologist, and I remember they took all my music, all my books, everything off the Christian bookstores in Tulsa. They stopped playing all my music on Christian radio. I was a dead man and dying man with cancer. No church, most of my friends gone, kept a lot of that to myself, never showed a public 1 ounce of public grief. I never shed a tear publicly. I smiled everywhere I went. I was just the same. I never gave them a hint how deeply my pain was. Yeah. I learned how to compartmentalize or push it in different places. And I went on through that praying, seeking God like I've always prayed and sought God and loved God and sang and cried and worshiped and still praying in the Holy Ghost in tongues and shouting and rejoicing on my own. But I couldn't go to the same churches anymore. Nobody wanted me. They all said no. I mean, the friends that I thought were near, the folks I got out of jail, folks I paid their rent and kept their cars from being repossessed, and couples that I had sent to islands to save their marriages, they're all sitting there in judgment. Nobody came around except Jews, and the Jewish Federation called me first. Can you believe that? People that have been marginalized by Christians. The whole LGBT community called from different sources. We'll love you, Bishop. Gays and Jews. I said, why was that two more than any other? Because those are the two that we have been most abusive to as evangelicals. Those are the ones we've heard and hit the most. And they came around, and Bishop Flunder said, if you're going to preach inclusion, do we coming? I said, come on in, baby. Bring anybody. Just teach me the language. Teach me what I need to know, because I'm stuck in some places, but I'm ready to break out. And I could see myself just taking off layers and layers and layers of stuff that had been wrapped around me all along for all these years. And I'm 50 when that began to happen. I kept taking another layer off and another layer off and another layer off and another layer. I'm still taking layers off every level. I remove a layer. Hallelujah. Come on, say hallelujah. I'm cancer-free, but I've learned a lot of lessons. I've been free for almost 10 years now. Glory, glory, glory. But I remember I was laying in this doctor's office. I'll close with this. I was facing the wall. And when I came in, the nurse was so sweet. She said, would you like me to put some Christian music on? I want to say, don't put that. I don't even like Christian no more, and my mama's one, so all my sisters is one, everybody I knew. But I was so hurt, and I was dealing with that, and I knew that I said, Christians don't play my music. That's all I had in my mind. So I'm laying on this table, stripped completely. They did their treatment. They leave me laying there on this table. There's blood. There's humiliation. I'm a high-profile figure in that city. Nurses have come in and out. They treat you like meat, And I'm laying there, and the music is playing, and I'm crying. And I'm it's the most depressed time of my life. That room seemed so cold and so bland, and I felt that I was dying because I had a repeated encounter with the cancer. And they said, clean yourself up, and walked out of the room and left me there. And the radio was on, and I remember thinking, turn that thing off, they don't like me. And this song, a song I recorded, and it was me singing it, came on. I'm working on a building, it's a true foundation. I'm holding up the bloodstained banner of the Lord. When I get through working on this old building, I'm going up to heaven to get my reward. I jumped up off that table. I washed and cleaned and cried and danced, and it was me. That was the universe reminding me that I have a reason for being here. It's not time to die. It's not time for giving up. It's time for holding on. It's not time for looking back. It's time for being strong. We must go to that next level. We must expand our consciousness. We must say yes anew and afresh to the God in us, calling to us, through us, and as us. Be still and know. Did it say be still and believe? I've graduated from believing to knowing. That's why I'm not upset about the information highway. I don't know what Steve Jobs was thinking, but I know when he died, the last 3 phrases on his mouth were, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well, they had told me he was into Zen Buddhism, so I knew he was going straight to hell. You have no idea how many of y'all I've sent to hell, you know. I am so glad that I don't go around just judging, look at them, just going straight to hell. God ain't in them, God ain't around them, look at them, having all the fun and drinking all that wine and smoking and dancing and enjoying life. And I'm over here with God, the Lord's despised few. I got tired of being despised. The only time I've really been persecuted in my life is by Christians. The world loves me. And when I say I mean my mom and them and my sisters and my whole family. I'm not denouncing Christianity, but sometimes Christians do things because they fear God, and that fear causes us to react in certain ways. Wrap your arms around.
Wasn't that just beautiful, right? Whoa. It was beautiful. Now listen. I want you to take that energy that he had, and I want you to transfer it to us right now as we are experiencing this. One of the biggest things that he brought out within that talk was the layers. Taking off the layers or shedding the layers. See, one of the things you have to understand in expanding or expanded consciousness is you got to understand that consciousness is just to be aware, right? And deeply aware. And it gets, of course, deeper in that when we really go in more in depth into it. But one of the things I want you to know is that the universe is constantly expanding at ever than a faster rate. So it's not really the fact that we are just choosing to expand. This whole thing and this whole system is expanding. And we can actually stay stagnant or get bound by those layers. All of us are bound by certain layers. As I was speaking and talking about my father, who is literally 50 years, I was 20, he was 25 whenever he went into ministry, and I'm almost 50 years old. So therefore, he's got so many layers of history of doing the same thing that it can be really, really, really tough in order to be conscious, be aware, right? It's an inner work. I titled this, Who Do You Think You Are? Sit there and ask yourself, who do I think I am? Who am I? I'm here to tell you, you got a name, you got a color, you got a race, color, you have, or ethnicity, you have possibly a male or female, right? You have all these different, you got a title. And you're not just those things. Those things are just a part of who we have told, and everyone has told you who you are. But there's something special that I want you to understand. And I told you, and if you read the caption, who do you think you are? I begin to also tell you or speak about transpersonal, right? Psychology or transpersonal. I want you guys to understand that there's different levels, right, of understanding us from not just a spiritual essence, but also in psychology. And if you merge those two within psychology, you get transpersonal psychology. It's not studied hardcore in the United States, but basically it is acknowledging the spiritual aspect of who we are. It's taking into consideration that there's more than meets the eye. You are more than you actually know. And what we are all experiencing, even from the transition of Bishop, right? Bishop actually, if you look there, and as he was talking about cancer, and he was speaking to it, and he actually questioned it, and he asked why it was here. But if for those who were able to experience his state of whenever he was sick last year, he almost moved into that space and seen it and felt it. And it was almost like he was ready for this transition so that we can have this ultimate experience. This experience so that we can actually step up, we can actually tune in, we can actually begin to find our true selves. As I say, true divine self, because the divine is within us all. I call this spiritual DNA. There's something that's locked into who we are if we're willing to accept it. We have, as Bishop was talking, we have these layers and layers and layers of life and what life has told us. There's something that I have said, and you're going to hear me say it probably more than once if you ever hear me speak. And it's like we have these arguments about the scriptures and the words, and whether a person is bringing the word of God, and I follow the word and I follow the scriptures. And that was 2,500, 3,000 years ago across the pond. And we have so many different things that's going on with us today. And you can't tell me what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma during the race massacre. You can't tell me what has happened to American society alone in the last 60 years, 100 years, 200, 300 years. There's stories and things that we don't know in just recent time. And we want to have an argument over a book that was translated and retranslated and translated again from various language. I had read a post just not too long ago, and it was like, it's mighty funny that James, John, Peter, all these names and these identities were really translated from some other names. These names just so happen to be a little bit more European. I don't say that just to make you guys upset. I just do that, and I want to do that so you can expand your understanding, right? Anyone that is tapped in and tuned into Bishop, I believe you guys have been here long enough, and you've been here and around him long enough to understand that it's time that we get off of the as they say, the milk, and get on some meat. And now I'm thinking it's time that we begin to move even past the fact that we need to just eat and just know that we need to just be. You are more than you really know that you are. And we're going to go through something in 2024. I believe if you choose to, us in the expanded conscious community, I believe that it's all of us integrating, actively participating. It's one thing that when we have Bishop here and we have him and he's going to bring different things and talk about different things. And I've heard a lot of different people say like, oh, I listened to Bishop over the years. I've been listening to him since 2012, but I haven't listened to him a lot because I know Bishop was going through his experiences in this life and his own transitions. But one of the things I want you guys to know about him is vulnerability. You got to be able to, when he began to take off his coat, you got to be willing to understand that you might have to expose yourself. You might have to go into a space that is not comfortable. If we are going through this right now together, there's going to be places that are uncomfortable. And if you're not uncomfortable in the sense of what you're trying to approach or what you're trying to do or who you are becoming or who you're rediscovering who you are, I'll tell you right now, a dear friend of mine, John Thomas, he's probably listened to me, and he is, I believe he just turned 76 years old. And the thing is he's rediscovering who he is. He's been through a lot of different trainings and been through a lot of different organizations and been through Church of Christ. And he talks about being living as a person that was racist in a racist family and how he actually began to recover himself. And he would like to help other people recognize and realize what that is within who you are. There's a lot of things of who you are that's coming out, right? That are just programs, that are just things that are there that we need to bring to surface. A lot of the things that has happened in America are things that we are just needing to bring to surface. Nietzsche says, no price is too high to pay for owning yourself. No price is too high to pay for owning yourself. We don't even know how to own ourselves because we don't even know what that means or what that looks like. But we are learning this. We are learning to not only just be and become, but allow by letting things go and shedding off these layers. The fight and the work as we know it, it's inside of us. It's deep locked in us. And there's something that you know, but a lot of us have to be willing to let go and shed some of these things and bring some of these things to light. There are so many people right now that as we do what we do and as we put out posts and we actually do some things to question Christianity as it is. I say it all the time. Evangelicals and Pentecostalism, they're very loud. I went to Oral Roberts University to be part of the media team, to help design church media and to actually put it out there. And we came really, really loud. And so we put all of our stuff out there. And so what we believe when it comes to Christendom, it's kind of like we're almost setting the standard. That's how it was. It was like we're setting the standard because we in the households and we get millions and millions of people to believe in that particular person, right? That's part of that is another psychological thing. That's collective consciousness, right? Once you get a lot of the collective people to be conscious or aware of who you are or who that individual is, right? And it just builds and builds and builds on who that person is. And so therefore, that's a strong collective and there's a consciousness within it. And there's the pros and cons of it is, I believe, is the evolution of it. We can get stuck in it and then not be willing to move outside of it and then begin to demonize anyone that does anything different. And that's where we have a lot of the problems and a lot of the issues. And we get stuck and we get put in ruts. The question is, you may ask, of course, is, and some people may need to know is, what is consciousness? What does it mean to be conscious? What does it mean to, because when you say the word conscious, a lot of people start thinking that it's new age and it's new thought. And it's these terms that we've been told that are wrong, that are of the devil. And I don't know how long it's been since we have been told that what we believe and not doing it the way that they want us to do it is of the devil, is wrong, or is something that is going to harm us. We've been kept from knowledge and understanding for centuries. And now we have the internet. And now we have a deeper understanding. And you know what else? Now we have people like Bishop Carlton Pearson who have paid a price, moving us from one space. Understand in the 70s, and he is who he is as a young man. He's a young man, and he's moving into the space of integrating as a black man into white culture and bringing a different take. He's being in a different experience. You know, people always talked about the black church and, oh, it's nothing like going to a black church. And, you know, you heard that. And what we did with Christianity, they let us have that. They let us have the Bible, and they let us have it and eventually be able to read and let us have Christianity, right? As we begin to understand that we need to deny some of the African spiritualism, even though Bishop Mason brought a lot of hoodoo inside of it with laying of hands and understanding root work and things of that nature, shamanism, um, and bringing that into Christendom. I believe he was on something revolutionary as long as he stayed within his box and parameters. Right. That's the reason why I believe the Church of God in Christ blew up so big, is because of the fact that there was some kind of spiritual element, right, in the evolution of spirituality and consciousness. Hope you follow me. Because the consciousness of that era and time was nowhere near where we are or able to decipher or think or organize within knowledge structures. Uh, Hopefully, you staying with me. And that is consciousness, and it is part of the expansion of consciousness. Consciousness has to expand, it will expand. And if you don't expand within the consciousness, we won't be having this conversation right now. Do you realize that I'm speaking to you in this house? And there's hundreds of people right now, you know, between all the channels listening, and at the end of the week, thousands of people will watch this. When we realize the expansion of consciousness and where we were and where we are going and where we can go, all of a sudden we beginning to own our own power. What I did for Bishop and what I'm willing to do, bringing it to all of you, is understanding that the collective consciousness of the inclusion, understanding, as I was saying, 1970, Bishop, Afro, he was a growing individual man and a person earlier in his life, being an inclusionist then, and including and bringing black people in a white evangelical space. And that began to take off because he was Kojic, and his dancing and his ability to speak and his ability to cross over. There's a lot of people that did not necessarily agree or like him even then. But as time moves on and he develops higher dimension, it was like the place to visit. It was like the place to go to. It was like the place that was the it was almost like you never experience spirituality and church until you go to higher dimension. And I'm speaking from the outside looking in. I never attended. I never went. I did attend an Azusa, a few, but just looking at that experience and that expression, he was including people then. And as you move into Azusa, he was giving people opportunity. He was allowing people to come all together to Oral Roberts University. He actually was a person that allowed Bishop G.E. Patterson, I believe, uh, um, yes, to speak at Oral Roberts, which was unheard of for a the largest African American denomination was to speak at Oral Roberts. All throughout his life, he was evolving, 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 evolving. There was never really a super dead moment But once he hit this place where we are today, it wasn't no better time than now, because now we can do our own understanding or begin to do our own research or also begin to do the work for ourselves. There are different modalities, there's different people that have different gifts and abilities that I believe can help us all learn and grow. But one of the things that I want to bring out in understanding of the essence of consciousness is that is it just merely awareness, or is it something more profound and just intricate of who we really are? I believe that consciousness is not just awareness, but it's kind of like the light that illuminates the corners of the inner world of who we are, revealing our deepest fears and our highest hopes. It's like a light in ourselves and all the rawness of who we are, especially when we can be vulnerable. Bishop really allowed himself to be exposed. If you look at that last talk, he exposed himself in talking about his cancer. And what you got to understand in the world of when it comes to being a pastor, when it comes to being these people that we have put in these higher places or pedestals of being like the God access, all of a sudden they don't like to reveal, or they don't like for people to see that part of who they are. And they go into, prayer, and they go into all these different things. And he was a person that kind of really, up until his last days, he actually was vulnerable. How are you allowing yourself to know that it's okay that you don't know everything? It's okay that you might need some help. It's okay that you have to have some level of self-care, because who you are is far greater than who you know that you are. I'm here to tell you there is an unlimited and a locked potential. And the way you unlock it is not a secret. It's just being able to decode it in your life. You have to be able to see it, to know it, and to work on it. Consciousness is like the ocean. It's calm, visible, right? But beneath it lies the depths of uncharted and mysteries. Do you know that we know more about space than we know about the ocean on our planet? We can go far in space, but there's depths of our own planet that we cannot reach. Where I believe where we belong and where you are going to get the most out of this life is when you are ready to understand that the journey to expand your consciousness, it's kind of an abstract concept, but I'm telling you, it's in our heart. It's in your heart. Being able to go into the vibrations of understanding the love, the absolute love. It's unconditional, but it's love. And it's not necessarily just love for the world, but it's the love of yourself. Beginning to learn to love yourself. How do we how do we learn to love ourselves? The blueprint, the sacred script, right? Those stories uncovered is yet to be understood in your life. It's yet to be understood. And I'm here to tell you that The exploration of who you are is an opportunity that many don't even know because we're not willing to commit. As a person that has worked with branding and understand branding, I'm gonna just give you a little bit. Like my first degree in what I was doing is developmental disability special education, so it's psychology. Then I did mass communications and multimedia, and then I did a master's in business and marketing. And so understanding that branding yourself, you have no choice. Understanding that you have the opportunity to manipulate the things around you in this world, even your own psyche, and not following what everyone else has told you to follow, but still yet being aware so that you're not actually being a narcissist, right? And it's all focused on you and it's all about you. Technically, it's all about us. Someone asked me my pronouns the other day, and I told them it's we. My pronoun is we, us, love. Yeah, I don't care. Maybe that's not a pronoun, but I'm still telling you individually, I don't believe that we always have to focus on the individual self when we realize that who I become or what I'm putting into who I am should resonate with who I am seen as. The reality of it is most likely not the reality of what I know. And it's through self awareness that we get self actualization. And some of the tools that you can use to implement this, of course, is coaching, but the other things are even meditation. I believe every single human being that's within the sound of my voice should begin to develop a meditation practice. 2024, develop a meditation practice. I always would want to preach this and talk to Bishop about this because he come from the space of meditation that deals with scriptural meditation, which, that means that's going more into a quietness or a silentness, or I'm referring to in it as something a little different in the sense of course, going into the calmness or into the silentness or into a state of who you are, but really has more to do with your thoughts. Thoughts are constantly like the minute that you are fired to get up, thoughts have begun to fire. And there's a way for you to w- to use your thoughts versus your thoughts using you, because your thoughts can become reality, but a lot of time thoughts are lying to you. And so being able to balance what's a thought versus what the self, which is the soul, comes from a practice of allowing those thoughts to come to you, right? Because they're going to, but you're going to sit for 10 minutes and you're going to allow those thoughts to come, but then you're going to say, I'm going to let them go. It's better for some people to have guided meditations. And the more often you do this, the more the elasticity of the brain begins to fluctuate. The more it begins to, you begin to actually use this benefit for you. Your intuition can go up. Literally, your intuition can go up and you become more aware of who you are. And not only that, this is what has allowed us to have what we have today. Most people don't understand that literally a lot of our realities, this whole computer, right? The way it's programmed, you see all the buttons and you click all the buttons, but actually you're dealing with a bunch of ones and zeros and codes and everything else that's the actual second layer of reality. Then there's a whole nother reality behind it. Somebody had to actually not only think this, but and implement this, but create this. I believe all that has a lot of God wrapped into it. There's a godness wrapped into the way we think, the way we do. And you have that inside of who you are. But we got to shed some of the layers, right? And we got to begin to take some of those things away and understand what layers to take out. Realize and understand some of the blocks. And some of us just need to do it. Some of us is now it's time for us to press go. Sometimes it's now for us to press record. Some of us now it's time for some of us to do something. To do something. And if you feel any kind of fear, if you feel anything that's blocking you, or you feel something that says, oh, I don't know, I think you might be onto something. I think you might be onto something. Bishop would always talk about one individual person, and I really like this person. He's a Viktor Frankl. He's a psychologist, and I follow he and I have different people that we would talk about, and we would philosophize, and we would talk. And I mean, I've been doing this with Bishop since I've known him. I have some videos eventually, I think I want to do in a private group of just he and I in a car, or he and I in a house, where I just let him sit there and just go and just talk, asking him questions and adding to the questions. But Viktor Frankl was someone that he talked about. And what I want to do is I'm going to play you a little bit of a rare clip of Viktor Frankl. And you know what's really ironic about it? Bishop called his church higher dimensions, later new dimensions. But high dimensions, inclusion, expanding consciousness, do you know those are all words that work together? Do you know, like, God has been working on Bishop and who he was to become and is as he operates in us long before what we have today? There's a golden opportunity for anyone that can take heed and use and move in the aspect of understanding where we are and what you can do with who you are. I promise. The word is so people talk about the word of God. But I'm going to tell you something. There is more power. There's more power in the words that you have to say for yourself than there is in the power by you in that book. Yes, I don't care what anybody say. Because the minute that you get on the phone and you call somewhere and you say, I'm going to blow this up, or I'm about to go get somebody. Let me see. You could deny, you could say whatever you want to whenever it comes to the Bible, and people love fighting whatever else, and somebody will believe it. But I'm telling you, call somebody up and say the wrong thing and see if the police see if they don't cover you. You could say words in your life that can have true impact. But let me tell you, the secret is in the feeling of how you feel about who you are. It's almost deeper than belief. Like, you can believe something, but it's different between believing and knowing. Those are some things that are oozing out of me from Bishop. But it's a difference between knowing, believing, and knowing. Once I know something, once I know that I'm the best, or once I know that I'm good because I put the work in, that's what it takes for professional athletes, because they know I put the work in. So I know, and I'm going to call it, but I'm going to be it, and I'm going to act on it. If you want change in your if you want change in your life, you say, I'm a person that I want this kind of change in my life. I want this healthy change in my life. What is it, the something that a person that is healthy would do? And how are you doing that tomorrow? How are you doing it tonight? If you want change in your life and you don't change it now, because now is the time to change it. Anything you want in your life, you got to change it now. Now, change it now. Get a notepad, put it by your bed, and start writing. Let it out. Let it out. I don't care what it is. I don't care even your age. I don't care what your age is. Actually, I will tell you, by the time you are 40, you are ready. By the time you're 40, you ready. You ready to live this life, be this life, right? We are in an age and time that all of us can experience some suffering, but we're at an age and time in this life. I'm gonna tell you that you could think about what you want, and in 2 years, all of a sudden things have changed. You hear me? In 2 years, you could boom. In 12 months, I'm gonna call it right now. Anybody that sticks with us in this expansion of consciousness, I want everybody to have some level of success. And let me tell you, success is the same thing to everybody. Yes, it's the same thing to everybody. And when I say that, it's like success is a feeling. Success is how you feel, right? If you own this and you feel this way, if you own that and you feel that way, right? If you're not eating and you get food, you feel better. If you make 6 figures and you want 7 figures, right? And you feel that that's part of your success, right? As long as you're doing the right thing, I really don't care. That's just a material part of this aspect of this world, and we can apply that to many different things. I won't be able to have this conversation with you on these applications and being able to do what I do if it wasn't for the way this universe or it works essentially at this time in America, right? With applications and things being able to develop, I need more people to develop more stuff. That's going to happen. Is it going to be you, right? Are you going to be the one that use and tapped in, tune into what has been left before us? This expansion of consciousness of what we're talking about is beyond religion. What Bishop Carlton Pearson is talking about and what he left for you to explore and to go to and implement into your life is beyond religion, right? I'm done with it. I'm done with anything when it comes to certain levels of suffering, right? I don't want the level of suffering of if my gas bill is paid. Do you? Whenever people are able to live. It's time for you to live. And anybody that's connected, tapped in, and tuned in to what we got going on here in this expansion of consciousness, right? Hey, we don't have no time. Y'all can play scripture tennis all you want to. Hey, what did God say about this? What did God say about that? But I can do this. Man, ain't nobody got time for that. I ain't got time for that. Whenever Mark Zuckerberg is redeveloping the world, Elon Musk is making robots, and we here sitting back here arguing about what Jesus had to say instead of just being Jesus. We tapped in to tune into all knowledge and all knowing the God, but yet though we sitting around here arguing about stupid stuff. Man, listen, y'all. I hope y'all ready because y'all they gonna either one, everybody gonna lift me up, or I'm gonna get kicked out because I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I choose love. I be love. But when the people want to come to us, come to me, and they want to talk about things that are not necessarily helping you grow or showing love because of what their fears are, because most of the thing is their fear in hell. Because if I agree, you say, hey, you don't believe in hell, that's wrong, and that's not of God, is in the word. And I say, okay, okay. That's fine. I mean, there's 8 billion of us in the planet, and if you feel that you really know that that's what it is, then okay, because I don't know it all. I know one thing, you're not gonna convince me that I need to believe in hell because you want me to. Okay, you believe I'm gonna burn. Can you just leave me alone and let me burn as I explore and as I grow and as I tap in, tune into the Christ consciousness that's allowing us to speak and to grow and to actually level up our consciousness? It's no time for games, folks. There's no time for games. Tap in, tune in, and get on this because this word and what we have has been said and resaid, and a lot of us that's been in the church experience are not doing anything but playing scriptural tennis with these people. It's time for us to let some things go and act upon stuff that we create for us, right? We create for us. There's people in here that will serve and be with you as you develop. As you develop. In my heart right now, I think about Miss Gina, Bishop's um wife of the era that she was that. We always toss that around, right? My thing is she's still a person that has a profound word. She's still a perfect person that I've always seen. Like there was times if she would intimidate me because she was so profound. Like I remember one time I said I was trying. This was, I don't know. This was probably about 2014. And I said, yeah, I'm just trying. She said, we don't try, we do. Something like that. And but it really sparked me, right, to go deeper into not only who I am, but it let me know where I'm possibly going. And I'm looking for her to expound and express and communicate and to connect to her audience. And some of you guys are with us, right? There's other people here that's on here, and you guys have something. I've spoken to some of you people, and you guys have something. I promise you, you have something. These last videos I want to play for you real quick. It's Viktor Frankl, very rare. And I just want you to listen to it. I know it can be deep for some, but we done playing games. If you don't know, then you need to go find it and you need to go listen to it. But he's going to talk about some aspects of religion and its incorporate religion and where we come with where we are at the time. That was 1977 with religion, theology, and moving in to theology and psychology. It's 1977 in this particular video. It's 2023, and I want you guys to be able to level up and move into a new aspect, new understanding, new knowledge, and the expansion that's happening within the world. And guess what? It's not going to be that hard for you because the universe is within you. Did you know that? Like everything and elements of the universe is within you, and you are tapped in, tuned into the universe, no different than the ocean, right? And the moon, as the moon moves and the tide comes in and all that happens. So all this evil and all this crap that's happening in the world today, if you tap in and tune into that expression, that feeling, it will come to you. But if you tap in and tune in and say, you know what, there's the most gifts and the ability to expand and to grow is going to be here and now. Listen to Viktor Frankl.
And this believing in the existence of ultimate meaning is the root or the crown of religion. And this, in this sense, in this widest possible sense, religion is also an entirely human phenomenon and has to be taken at its face value rather than being dismissed as a symptom of neurosis, of one aspect of the Oedipal situation, and so forth.
So it's quite natural for you then to use religious terminology, even
this doesn't mean, Professor Leslie, that religion is only a human phenomenon. But I, as a psychiatrist, am entitled only to focus on the naturalness, on the humanness of the phenomenon called religion.
Yes. And of course, one of the reasons that we at Pacific School of Religion and in the Graduate Theological Union are interested in your work is that we can take your work and extend it into the religious dimension.
There is a transition. There is a bridge possible. And all of us are trying to build up bridges rather than to destroy them. Bridges of understanding. Bridges, or bridges, as one might say as well, leading from one dimension into the next higher dimension. Why do I emphasize this dimensional view on the world of man over against the divine world, the more encompassing world? Because if we only speak of levels or layers, we separate and sever one realm from the other. But when speaking of a higher over against a lower dimension, what I'm thereby bringing in is that a higher dimension is to be defined as the more inclusive dimension. This means the higher dimension, say the dimension of theology, includes the human dimension. Theology includes anthropology. This means that there is no mutual exclusiveness, but mutual inclusiveness. Theology simply cannot arrive at a truth that contradicts the human truth, but a truth that goes beyond, that surpasses the human truth. And on the other hand, man need not fear that he will meet contradictions or will have to deny his humanness when he transcends his human world toward the divine world. He has not to deny his humanness, but he will fulfill his humanness, something that might be very familiar to you, as far as I know. Forgive my partial ignorance. There has been said that Jesus came to fulfill the law and not to deny it. Is that correct?
Ooh. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna stop. Religion, theology, bridging. That's just where we've been. It's not that we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just part of who we are as humans. We can't deny the experience. When we deny the experience, all of a sudden we are kind of disconnecting to where we've been, but to acknowledge the humanness of that and that experience and that expression has a lot to do with consciousness. We just wasn't aware. Now that we're becoming more aware, now we can change. There's a lot in the religious space. There's a lot within church that I still resonate with. But we have to learn to bridge, right? As he said, we move into a higher dimension, right? And we are being included. Man, y'all ain't gonna fool with me. 1970, he's talking about moving into a higher dimension. Higher dimension and inclusiveness. Before Bishop even said it, right? Victor Frankl was saying it. Bishop. Now you know you watch that video. Maybe not. The thing is, and then he also talked about the fulfillment of humanness through Jesus. Folks, there's nothing new. Where we're going and where we can go, who we can be, all is wrapped in to if we are willing to be disciplined, consistent, focused. Love. Learning to love, beginning with yourself. And how you can really decipher between loving yourself and being narcissistic is how do your closest people love you? And how do you love them? What are they willing or have to do in order to feel love from you or you love them? It's a practice. Believe me, I work on it every day. I have 2 daughters, a son and my wife. And then I got big family between my brothers and sisters, and learning how to love, even for those people that are stuck, if you will, into the religious aspects of life. You got to understand that free will is not necessarily free. There's a price that has to be paid for free will, because you got the collective consciousness, you got everybody else trying to tell you who you are, tell you what to do, and if you don't do it, then you're in. Then all of a sudden, people have something to say, right? And you're not allowed to be who you truly are or learn who you are. I appreciate you for tapping in and tuning in. 2024, I believe, can be and will be a year to remember. Our first year to go on this channel with Bishop as a spiritual connection to who we are in all of our hearts. And we get to go back and listen to his words and his videos. And I plan to carry on and make sure that you keep on keeping on. I didn't have time to look at some of these uh some of the comments. Honestly, I had it on another screen looking at some notes, and so so I'll find out if um everything was okay. Yes, yes. I like this comment here. The gospel of inclusion is not new. It's just gotten a bigger platform when Bishop said it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I learned that too also with Bishop Archbishop um Abbey last week, whenever, especially just looking at Eastern Christianity versus Western Christianity. Um this is beautiful. Hey, you always here with us. Yes. The world is crazy, but it's us right here for us right now. It's good to come. It's yes, absolutely. I would say that it's a blessing, but also to understand and realize that um, it's just part of who we are, and it's part of it is grace. A big chunk of it is grace. If you want to know a grace message, it's like to be the person that has to accuse everyone of not following your words, the words that you have discovered and interpreted, the words that you don't know that you've discovered that have been interpreted by a pastor, the words that you don't even understand that have been interpreted by somebody else, possibly more likely through colonization and everything else. Don't let me get started on that history. Oh, Miss Tina, I have to. Oh, Jesus was the way shower for us, along with many other mystics who involved in the Christ consciousness. Yes, he said the Father and I are one. When you see me, you see the Father. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can't wait to put something together. Yes, an intimate relationship with the Spirit will humble us. Absolutely. Miss Dolores, thank you so much. It was a joy meeting you. I can't wait to get everybody together and to be able to put the faces with this. I'm in my house, and it'll probably be overwhelming whenever I get everybody in one place. I'll be oh my God. Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Yes. Hello, sir. You're amazing. You've been with us for a long, long time. Make sure you guys go through these comments. Please go through these comments because this is golden. I love reading these comments. It's been part of my grieving process is working within the community. That has been. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tapping in, tuning in, and we're going to hopefully I'll be able to talk to Julian and the family about various different aspects. People have asked about the Carlton Pearson Legacy Foundation. And of course, we have the expanded conscious community. I believe it's, of course, two separate things, but yet though they work hand in hand, if you will, because who we are, a lot of it has to do with the foundation of who Bishop was and is in our lives today. I appreciate everyone for tapping in and tuning in. Hey, if you have any more comments or any questions or anything like that, I will get to them. I will answer them. And if you really enjoyed this, make sure you like it and share it. And I appreciate your comments. And I'll do more. I'll have more interviews, but I think we'll have me in doses. I might be a little bit much. Oh, we'll go out with, of course, with our song, Miss Majesty. I love this song. I really, 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 really do. Believe in yourself. Love you guys. Bye-bye.